Some really good major news coming out of Tesla today, and it's only Monday. And especially for those of you who are wondering what's happening with the Model Y, are we ever going to see it when it's going on production? Well, I'll give you a clue. The answer rhymes with Tesla Schmactory. Hope I didn't give away too much, but I'll tell you all about it in just a few minutes. Also, a couple of comments I'm going to answer about my video from yesterday about my dirty and very, very embarrassing confession. So I hope you watched that one. I'm gonna clear up a few misunderstandings. Didn't see that coming, right? All right, and it's all coming up next.
Taking over the world, electrifying the world, electric.
If you are abandoning your work duties at your office and watching me live on Patreon, thank you so much for supporting the show. If you're watching me on replay on YouTube, that's okay. Cool. I welcome you as well. If you do want to support me on Patreon, just go to patreon.com/e4electric, and that way you will be helping out the show and keeping it independent. All right, so let's talk about the Model Y. As you know, that this is all we got, this image. And yes, they've been reaching out to suppliers, and it looks like the ball kind of got rolling. Of course, the focus is Model 3. But today, looks like Tesla is moving forward with... they got a license today for in China to, looks like, build their own 100% owned factory. Now, as you know, it's been back and forth for a while, for a couple of years now, but now I guess under pressure from Trump administration, Chinese government said that they will allow fully owned factories in China, and the very first type of car manufacturing that will kind of be able to allow to do that will be the ones who are creating electric cars. So Tesla is really a perfect fit. Now, they got the license to do it in Shanghai in a trade-free zone. So this looks like everything's moving forward. Of course, the situation is fluid. You never know with all of this stuff. But here's the thing: if this is really happening, it looks like it is. Elon said in the earnings call that every factory now is kind of going to be 2-in-1, right? Batteries and production of cars. So this makes you wonder, and I really don't know the answer to this. On one hand, this is obviously where Model Y and probably semi-truck will be built. But on the other hand, since they're going to get this factory, they probably want to build some Model S and Model X cars there because they're selling them pretty impressive numbers in China as well. As a matter of fact, last year they doubled their sales from the year before. Now it's at $2 billion in 2017. So I'm going to assume that even though they will put the Model Y, obviously going to start making it there, but they're also going to make Model 3, Model S, and the Model X just for the Chinese market. Of course, because of different regulations and charging ports and a lot of other stuff that will be, kind of customized for that market. And on another hand, I'm assuming they're going to free up some space in a Fremont factory. And that way that they will also be able to start making Model Y and semi-trucks here. As a matter of fact, I don't think they're going to make semi-trucks anytime soon for China. I think they're just going to make it here for the United States and Canada. But the Model Y, I have a feeling they're just going to kind of spread the wealth and kind of, at least for now, go between Tesla factory here in Fremont and the new one in Shanghai. So that is my sort of educated guess. I should always turn my phone off before going live, right? That's my guess. I think that would be probably the smartest thing to do, but we'll see what Tesla actually does. Now, here's another problem. They're also suppliers, right? You have to get parts and suppliers. Supply chain management is a whole different story. You kind of have to have partners in China, like anywhere else, to get that going. So I don't know if Tesla has already some leeway there, if they made some headway there, but at the same time, that may take some relationship building at the very least. Now, a lot of experts are saying that this whole thing will take from now to when the production can actually start about 3 years, which kind of pushes the Model Y production to 2021 really, and not 2020 as I think most people expect. So overall, this is great news, right? If Tesla can be pretty much the only car maker doing business tariff-free in China, I know others will catch up, with time, but that's still a big advantage for them. And of course, if they can get Model Y finally going, and that means they will probably unveil it sometime this year, That's also really good news. So that's major news. I don't know why they're not making more headlines with it today, but I believe this is major news. All right, something else is happening at Tesla. Before that, of course, just want to remind you that this channel and the show is sponsored by Evernex, the aftermarket accessories for Teslas. And if you are shopping there in the next few days or few weeks, whatever, there's a discount code in the description of this video that you can use to save a few bucks. All right, let's talk about something else. Well, there's something going on at Tesla, and I think Elon already gave us heads up about that, because he said there will be some reshuffling and management flattening and supplier cutting going on, and all of this has kind of been happening in the last 2 weeks. First of all, they're, I guess, getting rid of any sort of third-party contractors that are not being vouched for. Now, I'm still not quite sure what that even means. Like, I literally think they meant personally, and so that's a bit an interesting way of doing business, but nevertheless, that's probably not a bad thing to do, because there's a lot of money that are being lost and probably time dealing with contractors are just kind of trying to make way too much money on something that they're doing but are replaceable. So kudos to that. But flattening of the management layer is also what looks like Elon is doing. As you know, their head of engineering just took a leave of absence. Now, a lot of speculations about that, but it does look like he will be coming back. Though, as you know, Elon took over his responsibilities, which I don't know how it would make anybody feel. So I don't know if this is his way of just saying, hey, dude, you know, I'll be back when you give me my job, that kind of thing. Or maybe there's something going on with his family or health or whatever. So let's give it a benefit of a doubt. But, you know, there was a relatively steady stream of executives leaving Tesla in the last few months. And it looks like there will be more. Whose choice it's going to be, we don't know. But at the same time, you know, Tesla had grown pretty fast in the last few years. And probably some management cleanup and streamlining is kind of overdue. So I think that's going to help. I hope it's going to help. So that's also some pretty good news. By the way, before I get to the comment of the day, just wanted to let you guys know about some of the interviews that are coming up. Okay, well, so Henrik Fisker was last week on Saturday. Hope you enjoyed that interview. Some pretty interesting stuff. Lots of interesting comments as well. John LaFleur, the VP of Workhorse, is going to be here on this Saturday. Still working that out. It's been kind of up and down, but definitely will get you some interesting stuff. Michael Persky, the CEO of Automobili Pininfarina, is going to talk to me about the very first Pininfarina electric car that they're unveiling at the end of summer. So we'll talk about that. And Chad Balch from Chevrolet Communications is going to be here to talk about Chevy Bolt, Cruise AV, and other Chevy-related stuff. So I hope you guys are interested in that as well. All right, so let's talk about comment of the day. Actually, I got two today, so I'm excited about that. Obviously, both of them are about my dirty, embarrassing confession. Well, I've made it in the show before, but I now just decided to make the entire video about it. So there it is. You can watch it on my channel. So the first one comes from Skylar Parks, and he says, if you take a lot of long road trips, get a car with more range and a bigger battery pack. You can't really say that that is why EVs are not getting adopted when you drive the shortest range model as ever created. The actual reason why EVs are not getting adopted quickly is because there aren't enough EVs that are cheaper than their gas car counterparts in every class of cars. It's all about economics. Okay, well, right. That's exactly what I'm saying. And my point is that first of all, I'm not driving. The car that I have two Teslas, right? The one that I take on road trips obviously has a longer range. I have a 70D that I use for that, and that's about 220 rated range. But you are right. I can't just go ahead and get a longer range because it's an extra 30 grand. And since I'm not a multimillionaire, I kind of had a choice: buy two Teslas of a lower range or one Tesla, of a really long range. And by the way, I'm not really sure if it's worth it spending extra $30,000 just so I can take a little bit more convenient trip every few months or every half a year or so. So that just economically doesn't make sense. And you're talking about economics, right? And yes, so this is all about economics. But at the same time, just for those of you guys who didn't watch the video, I basically said, listen, I rent gas cars, preferably hybrids, but still gas cars when I go on long trips because, it takes me way too much extra time to get from where I live here in the San Francisco Bay Area to LA or sometimes even Sacramento, and it's just not worth my time. And I just, you know, I have to, I just rent a car. And actually a lot of comments, you know, other comments said that they do the same thing. There's no shame in it. I mean, I obviously kind of pride myself on being an all electric guy, so it's a little shameful, but you know, I got to do what I got to do sometimes, because it's a matter of getting, you know, 3 hours of sleep versus getting 6 hours of sleep at the end of the trip, especially I have business meetings next day. So, but you can watch the video for that. But just to answer this comment is that, yeah, it's something that not everybody can do. Not everybody can afford a Tesla that I even have. Let's not forget about it. That's still a very, very expensive car in a grand scheme of things. So, so that's one. And another one I wanted to address, and actually quite a few people ask me that. So this one's from Rain 2005. I don't know if it's a Tesla owner, maybe he's not, because he says, how does one supercharger stop for 40 minutes at 3 hours to your trip? Perplexed. Okay, so I'll give you the math. I live in San Francisco Bay Area and I go to LA relatively often. I mean, maybe every half a year or so, or every few months. And so what happens is I leave at night. I leave around 7 or 8 p.m. to avoid traffic here and to avoid traffic there. Because if you're stuck in traffic one way or another in one of these locations, like, you're definitely going to add like 2-3 hours to your trip. So I don't want to do that. So I drive pretty much in the late evening or even early night. When I use a gas car, I leave at 7. You know, I can get there in 5 hours. So that's pretty much midnight. Or if I leave at 8 at 1 o'clock. But if I have to supercharge, and by the way, my car is rated at 220 miles, but really with pretty heavy winds on Highway 5 here, and that's the shortest route, your range goes down a lot because the wind resistance, that's a big thing. Of course, I use usually heater because it's cold, and the lights and so forth. So it really does take a lot of energy. So my 220 rated range kind of becomes 140 to 150 realistic range, right? So since there's about 350 miles between where I live and where I usually go and stay in Los Angeles area, well, I have to supercharge 2 times at the very least. Not always those stalls are very fast, so sometimes it's not 40 minutes, sometimes it's an hour 10 minutes, depending on which stall you get. And this is if there are no lines, right? Like, driving at night usually makes it no lines, but still, sometimes it does happen. And on top of that, I can't just get to my hotel with an empty tank, if you will, right? I have stuff to do in the morning, so actually I have to get to my hotel, which a lot of times doesn't have destination chargers. I have to have some juice to drive around in the morning. That makes it 3. And so again, 40 minutes is just not 40 minutes. It's a lot of times 45 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes. But even if we do go with 40 minutes, we're still talking about almost, not almost, but exactly 2 hours. And instead of getting there at 1 o'clock in the morning, if I get there at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, we're talking about the difference between 6 hours of sleep and 3 hours of sleep, and that can ruin not only my day but the entire 2 or 3 days if I'm that short on my sleep. So that's an answer to you. I'm telling you, it's just not that easy, and because of all the conditions on the road when I'm driving there, it uses up way more energy than you would think. So I hope that clears it up, but at the same time, obviously when I can, I will try to use the electric car that I have, but it's just most of the time it's just not not even convenient, but realistic. And again, I wasn't really just talking about myself. I was just also making sure you guys understand a lot of people actually feel this way, and judging by the comments, and this is where the problem is. I was trying to give you a bigger picture, is that realistically a lot of people still worry about it. Realistically, a lot of people still are skeptical about electric cars for some really good reasons. And not everybody is a huge fan who just wants to live in this universe of green planet and everything. A lot of people just want to live their lives and do what's convenient and cheap for them, and I don't really blame them. Well, anyway, so I hope that makes sense. That's pretty much it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you once again tomorrow. Other than that, have a great afternoon or night, wherever you're watching me from. See you tomorrow, and remember to stay charged.